It doesn't have to do with grammar, it doesn't have to do with vocabulary. It has to do with pattern recognition. You might have heard people say that memorization is actually very weak in language learning, and that is 100% true, especially if you're learning because you're a little bit older. So we have to rely on other ways to actually learn the language. But even if you're young, not relying on memorization and relying on pattern recognition is going to make things so much easier for you. In this video, we're going to be exploring just 3 main patterns in Greek, but keep in mind there are so many different patterns out there. So without further delay, let's jump into our first pattern. The first pattern has to do with the fact that Greek is already within your English. I have written on the board 4 words that actually they exist in Greek in almost the same way. The first word is ego, and the Greek equivalent is εγώ. Εγώ in Greek means I, which makes a lot of sense because when somebody has a big ego, we say he has a big I. This one was very obvious. Let's go to the second one. The second one is automobile. In Greek we say αυτοκίνητο. And you see the first part is almost completely identical. This auto and αυτό means basically the same thing. Self, right? Self-moving for automobile. And in Greek for mobile, we use kínητο. And in Greek, the word kínητο is connected with the word for kinetic energy, with movement. So in Greek, αυτοκίνητο is something that produces kinetic movement, kinetic energy by itself, which makes sense. And then we have an English word which is the character. In Greek, that becomes χαρακτήρας. Whenever you see a CH in English, it's very, very likely that there's a Greek word hiding in there. And then lastly, we have philosophy, and in Greek that becomes philosophia. And again, when you see a PH here, it's also a great indication that there's again probably a Greek word hiding in there as well. So both of them are Greek words. And you see philosophy also has another PH here, which also signifies another Greek word, because philosophy is made up of 2 words. The first one is philo, which used to mean I love in ancient Greek, and the other one is Sophie, which is Sophia in Greek, which is the wisdom. So as you see, there's a bunch of Greek words within English. Some of them exist like that, and you can derive the meaning out of it if you break it down. But some other ones, like character and philosophy, you have to recognize some English letter combinations which most likely correspond to Greek. Let's go to our second very, very useful pattern. In this pattern, I want to showcase to you that many Greek words are made out of parts. And I'm taking here a verb, γράφω, that means I write. And we have different words that can connect to γράφω and they can make something entirely different. For example, I said γράφω means I write or I am writing. Υπογράφω, υπο means under. So if we combine υπο and γράφω, we have something like I underwrite, which in Greek means I sign. Because normally you sign under at the bottom of the page, right? Then we have dia, which in Greek by itself means through or across. So if we combine dia and γράφω, we have something like I write through or I write across, which in Greek that means I delete. If you imagine writing through something, you're kind of like overwriting it, right? So in Greek that means I delete. Then we have peri. Peri in Greek means around. So if we combine it with γράφω, we have the meaning of I describe. Metaphorically, writing around what you see. You paint the picture, you describe. So these were 3 verbs that come from γράφω. But now we're going to see 3 nouns. Ζωή in Greek means life. If we combine ζωή and γράφω, we have η ζωγραφιά, which is the painting in Greek. Or in other words, writing life. Then we have phos, and that means the light in Greek. So if we combine these 2 together, we have η φωτογραφία, which is the photograph. Or in other words, writing with light. And lastly, we have the noun ο χορός, and that is the dance. So if we combine these two together, we have η choreografia, which is the choreography, which is something like writing with a dance. Because if you imagine when you're dancing, your steps leave a trail behind them. So it's something like writing with your steps. That was the second pattern, and that exists with all sorts of different kinds of verbs. For example, all of these can be combined with another verb and mean something completely different. Lastly, the third pattern that we're going to cover that is very, very useful for people starting out is the pattern that certain sounds are connected with certain things. For example, the M sound is Greek, is connected with specific words that indicate the meaning of me or wherever me or I am included. For example, the M sound is connected with me, and me means literally me. It's connected with mu, which means to me. Then we have ime, which means I am. Then we have mas, which means us or to us, because me or I am included when I say us or to us. Same like imaste, which means we are. I'm included when I say imaste, so in Greek we have that M sound to indicate that. In the same way, we have that S sound that is connected with you. Either you as one person or you as a lot of people. For example, se, which means you, one person. Su, which means to you, one person. Ise, you are. We have sas for you plural or you formal. And we have iste as well, which means you are. And obviously we can go into the past with the same sound as well. For example, ise, you are in the past, is isun. So we still have the S. Iste, if we make that in the past, that would be istan. So we still have the S. So you see, this is a very, very common pattern in Greek. And if you know it, you can literally learn things so much faster. Not only just for this pattern, but for all the previous patterns that we just mentioned. So these were the three very common patterns in Greek, but there's so many of them out there. And if you're not sure which ones to learn, I would highly, highly suggest that you ask your own teacher to show you some of these patterns. And if you are relying on memorization, try to do it less and less. If you want to learn how to have conversations in Greek and understand natives when they talk, you can join my Greek learning community where we teach you exactly this. The link is in the description down below. Thank you for watching και τα λέμε σύντομα.